Hello, plant people, and welcome to Martin's Home and Garden's Houseplant of the Week. This week, we're going to be talking about an amazing plant for your home. It is ever blooming, it is a vining plant, and it's just honestly wonderful. So, these plants are called Hot Lips Calumnia. They are a type of lipstick plant. There is some controversy over which one they are, but Hot Lips Calumnia is its name. We have them right now in hanging baskets, which is kind of what they're most popular in because they give off these really beautiful stems of dark green foliage that can get up to 40 inches long. And they also will bloom year round as long as they are under the right conditions. So we can kind of dive right into what those conditions are. They are native to Mexico or just the American tropics, which, that means that we can learn a lot about what it wants from that. They are also an epiphytic plant, which means that it grows on the sides of trees and along with the tree, not ever harming the tree, but just growing with it to kind of have support. So with that being said, they are very attractive in a hanging basket because they do give off these beautiful little vines that have these really beautiful warm tone flowers on them like most of the year. So with the stems being long, they can also grow up to 16 to 20 inches in a growing season as long as they meet the right conditions. Those conditions will be, light pretty much as you can give them inside. About 6+ hours of light, bright and direct light is going to be ideal. You do want to kind of keep them away from the window in the winter because they can get a little chilly. And they like to stay in between like 65 to 75 degrees year round. If they look kind of sad, sometimes it can mean that they need a break. So they're going to want a little bit cooler of temperatures, which is kind of interesting. If you can't ever get it to bloom, it might need a little bit of a break. But I would do some research on that before you do use that as a strategy in making your plant to bloom because it could be a variety of other problems. So our temperature is 65 to 75 degrees year round. The humidity is pretty essential for these plants. It's going to want a good amount of humidity, which honestly makes this plant a great option for a bathroom. If you have a bright window in your bathroom with the option to have your plant in there, it would be wonderful for it. It does take up a good amount of room though, so I would be sure to make sure you have the room for one of these plants before you put it in your bathroom. The watering for these plants, you're going to want to keep the soil slightly damp like you would an African violet. These are in the same family as an African violet, so they kind of want a very similar scenario when it comes to care. And African violet soil is a good option for these as long as you mix in maybe a little orchid bark or perlite to kind of help with the porosity and drainage. But African violet mix already has all the good stuff that's going to retain the moisture without like holding too much in there. So that is a really good option for these when it comes to soil. So for fertilizing, if you need your plant to bloom, a good option would be to use an African violet fertilizer or an orchid fertilizer, or maybe a combination of both. And just do it with whatever it says on the back. Just make sure not to fertilize during the winter or just not in the growing season. But these plants are pretty simple when it comes to care, as long as you have the right conditions in your home and you know what to look for. Another thing to note with these, though, is that they are prone to certain pests and diseases. So they're prone to mosaic virus, which can be transmitted from aphids and stuff like that. But this is a viral infection, not a fungal infection. So it is very different when it comes to treatment. You cannot use a fungal spray on these to make sure that you get rid of it. You honestly probably should not keep the plant around, and even seeds from the plant can't be used or they'll have mosaic virus as well. So if you get mosaic virus, I would look up how you want to proceed, especially if it's an old plant that you've had for a while and it's very mature. Another thing they're very prone to is root rot because they do like to stay evenly moist. Just making sure that you don't overwater and it's not sitting in a bunch of water is very important for these. Another thing is Botrytis mold is something that it's prone to, again, with watering. And also when you've got that humidity, it's kind of shady in your home, and stuff like that, it's going to get fungal infections and stuff like that. So with Botrytis mold, you probably need to allow your plant to dry out a little more and give it a little more sunlight. Leaf browning on these is often a sign that you are watering with unfiltered water, something that has too much calcium in it, or you're fertilizing too much, and there's too many nutrients in your plant and it's actually hurting it. If it is dropping leaves, it probably means that it is not humid enough, or it's had excessive dry air and it is not happy. So making sure that you watch for that is really important. And then leaf spots are often a sign that you've got too much water on the foliage, and it's, the water is magnifying the sunlight and it's burning your leaf, or it just is an issue with water sitting on there and causing fungus to grow as well. So there are a lot of different things that can happen to this plant, but as long as you look out for it and control it, it should be fine. So come check these out. We have them in 8-inch hanging baskets right now, and they don't have to be repotted very often. So come check these out, and we will see you this week, guys. Thanks for checking in.